Here's a tip or a gem of information that you don't even have to watch the whole video to get. Being a good manager, even being a great manager, is not hard. That's on the house. But if you want more, watch the rest of the video. Welcome to the channel Leadership with Mike. On this channel, I help new managers become more confident leaders, and I do that with no nonsense sense, if that makes any sense. And if you're new here, make sure you grab my free PDF. It's 14 things that managers must know in order to build their self-confidence as said managers. Okay, let's get into this. 7 tips to help you become a great manager. I don't do this good manager. It's a fine line from good to great, and we might as well be great. The first thing that I'm going to tell you to do, and I promise all of these are not hard. The first tip is acknowledge people. When you walk into a room and it's in the morning, there's this weird expression where you say, "Good morning." I don't care how new you are. I don't care where you fall in the organizational chart. You have time to say good morning. You have time to establish a relationship with people by simply acknowledging them. The fact that I have to say this because I have seen people think that they're too busy, think that they're too important to talk to the people that are actually doing the work, it's mind-blowing. The next tip number 2, is listen to people. People are going to come to you with problems, with issues, with things you may not want to know. But you, as a great manager, as a great leader, are going to listen. You're going to listen and make sure you understand what it is that they're saying. And the best way to convey that you've heard them is repeat in a paraphrasing type of manner to say, okay, let me understand. What you're saying is, and then repeat what they were saying. So they know you've heard them. Again, not rocket science. I know. The third tip is you need to communicate clearly. A lot of times, there's a confusion as to what the job requirement is, what the needs of the manager are, what the needs of the customer are, the stakeholders. If you learn to communicate clearly so that your team knows exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it, how they need to do it, you don't need to micromanage them because you have told them clearly and they've understood. Tip number 4, don't be afraid to improve yourself. Improving yourself can be having your company pay for trainings, going and grabbing a book and learning something that you don't know. I personally try to never stop learning. I might be thick and I might be a little bit slow, but I'm always trying to learn. Right now, I'm learning how to give better keynote speeches so that maybe I can come to your workplace and talk to you and your team and your team's team. But it's something that I need to learn. So I am going to develop myself. You need to develop yourself as well. There's information all over, including, of course, this YouTube channel, but there's other channels as well. There's a lot of Skillshare, there's Udemy, there's a lot of places that you can go to level up, and it does not cost a fortune. You don't need to go spend $100,000 and get your MBA to be a good or great leader/manager. You can do it for pennies on the dollar. I promise you. You just have to put the work into learning for yourself. Tip number 5 is to be human. Understand that 1, you are not going to have all the answers. You're not going to know everything. And that you're going to have your own set of problems at home that may affect your work. And your team, they're also going to have their own sets of problems that may affect their work. So be human. Use your emotional intelligence. Emotional damage. Use your emotional intelligence and pick up on other humans, other people that are having people-like feelings. We are not robots. We are not machines. Deal with your team in a way that shows that you're a human, that you have feelings, that you hurt when they hurt, that you want to celebrate when they have something to celebrate. So be human. Number 6 is that you need to lead by example. This is simple because if you're saying good morning, if you're showing that respect, the trust, if you're learning for yourself, these are all ways that you're leading by example. If you just go into your office, put the music on or start chatting on the phone with the wife or husband or girlfriend or whatever, trying to see what's going on, and you're not really doing any work, what do you think your team's saying? I'm not saying you got to be sweating in the office and just grinding and typing away crazy, but make sure that you're leading by example. So if you want your team to take breaks, then you take breaks. If you need your team to come in at a certain time, then make sure when your work time starts, you're in on time. It's a very simple. I promise you, management is not difficult. It's just that people are crazy. That's the thing. People are crazy, and we have to pivot to deal with the crazies, including yourself and myself. Here's a bonus one that I'm not even throwing in the count. I have a new podcast where you can elevate your learning, where you can pick up on tips. It's called the No Nonsense Leadership Podcast. I have a new episode every Wednesday, and what I'm finding really cool is that when you guys, you in particular, put a comment down in the comment section, that's a little bit more than a thumbs up or, yeah, that's awesome. When it requires a fair bit more detail, the podcast is where I can go to give a lengthy and thought out answer to hopefully help the individual asking, but everybody else who may have a similar situation. So go to the podcast. You will see the link in the description. Apple, Google, Spotify, you'll find it. Now, the next tip is kind of a double whammy. Give and receive feedback on the spot or in a timely manner. If you see somebody doing something fantastic, going way out of their way for the customer, give them the feedback. If you see somebody making an error that you can help them correct right away, give them the feedback. The flip side of this, when your team comes and says this is a problem, accept their feedback. It doesn't mean that their feedback you have to make changes on. What it means is that you have to be willing and humble enough to accept the feedback, to let them express themselves, to say what's working, what's not working, where they need help, what equipment they need to get, or what red tape is stopping them from creating whatever it is that you've asked them to create. Accept the feedback. Listen to your team. You see how all of these things are not difficult. With any luck, you do them every day at home or with your friends or when you're meeting people at a wedding. These are just common decency things. They're normal things to do that sometimes, for whatever reason, as managers, as leaders, we think that we don't need to do it. That people are there for their job, they're collecting their paycheck. But that's not the case. That's not the work environment that you want to create. I know it. So get your coffee and let's continue learning in the next video.